United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Minutes are recorded to aid in their preparation. Approval of minutes for September 7th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded to approve the minutes for September 7th. All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Visitors.
Brad?
Yeah. Back in March I was here and you guys gave me a chance to, well, you cut the initial fee, or you delayed the initial fee for my hookup to 12/23. I'm not done with it yet. I have money. I'd like to just pay the $32.50 remaining on the hookup fee, and then possibly, depending on what you guys want to do, pay the other $3,700 for the pump when I finish the project. So you tell me. The contract that you wrote up, I had planned on having it done September or October, but life got in the way, and I'm not done. I'm not done with the plumbing inside. I just wanted to come here and make a good faith, either pay the original, what is that? What do you call that? The permit fee.
Yeah, the permit fee,
Yeah.
tapping.
I had paid $250 down. I could pay the other $32.50, or if you wish, I could pay the entire amount now, but we didn't get the inspection or anything.
What would be easier for you at the present moment? When do you figure you're going to have this all together?
I hate to get
Beginning of the
going
year?
now.
Maybe?
Oh, well, I was hoping to have my hookup done, yeah, sometime December, January. When I'm slow, I'll be inside the plumbing. So, I hate to tie down to it.
I mean,
There's not much to it. All I
I
got to do is
mean,
reverse
let's face it. The grinder pump, till you pay for the grinder pump, we can't put it in, so that's a mute issue till you get it hooked up.
All right.
I mean, that's up to you whether you get that for. But the tapping fee,
Yeah.
I would be, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, you're in agreement with that.
I think it's more than fair to just finish off paying the tapping fee right now, make you guys happy. And if you guys are fine
And
with
then
that, then I'll
when
do
you
the
need to hook up,
$3,700.
we'll get it dropped in and make it work. How's that?
Yeah,
Okay?
all right.
Anything else from the board? Discuss this? What's everybody's wish?
Tick tock, tick tock, tick.
I'm listening. What's the wish of the body?
You really don't need a motion for this, do you?
Not really, I'm just, is everybody okay with
Yeah, I
that?
mean, I don't know why we need a motion.
I mean, you came back in good faith to us, we didn't have to wear after you. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that too, you know? That way it keeps you,
All right, yeah, I'd rather keep some money in the bank anyhow.
okay? And whenever you're ready for that, let us know and we will get the proper people to get it dropped in and get you online. I mean, really, you can't hook it up till you get it inspected anyhow, so
Yeah,
it's,
I understand.
do it all at
Should I
once.
just stop at the office then? And,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Karen will be there tomorrow.
all right,
The office is closed on Friday. So remember that.
I'll have to come up Monday then.
Okay.
Just need a consensus. Yeah. I'm good with it.
Okay.
Okay? Is that all you wanted?
That's it.
Well, that was simple, huh? Okay. Next, Susan.
Anybody else there? Okay, Bob, you're not speaking?
The only thing I'd do would be invite you to the open house on the 15th, corn soup and chicken barbecue, to come and help yourself. Be down at the farm market.
What day is that?
The 15th,
Okay.
Saturday a week, I guess.
Okay. Okay, everybody else is on the agenda.
Okay. Let's go with the engineer's report, then we'll hit the operators.
Okay, again, I say this every meeting, but everybody received a copy of the engineer's report? Okay, first item would be the Sunshine Hills water system. And based upon the authorities' last meeting, it was decided that well number 1 would be abandoned. And as such, DEP was looking for some type of guidance in order to write their permit for the Sunshine Hills water system with the information that was previously submitted and with the present day construction. If you want, I can go through the permit and identify some of those items. There were 4 special conditions, and again, this is called an operations of facilities permit, and it's for the Sunshine Hills revised 4-log treatment of viruses, because we had those questions about what the 4-log system would be able to treat, and then the consent order came down and we had to address the new 4-log system as with the modifications as per the construction modifications, and what the flow rate could be permitted as with those modifications and so forth. So this permit was issued by DEP conditioned upon the abandonment of well number 1. And it's a comprehensive operation permit termed as that, and was issued on September 26th. And they had 4 special conditions noted as part of this permit. Item 1, the permitted rate for well number 2 is 70 gallons per minute. The entry point for 101, which is for well number 2, treatment facility shall be operated in accordance with the following conditions to provide 4-log treatment of viruses. That's 1A, being instantaneous maximum flow through the treatment system shall not exceed 65 gallons a minute. B, minimum of chlorine residual at the entry point shall be no less than 0.4 milligrams per liter. C, monitor and record free chlorine residual at the entry point once per day using the appropriate calibrated field test instrument. A grab sample shall be collected and analyzed during the hour of peak flow. If any daily grab sample measurements fall below the required minimum disinfectant concentration, take follow-up samples at least every 4 hours until residual disinfectant concentration is restored to the required minimum level. Okay. Item 3, authority to use well number 1 as permitted source is hereby rescinded. So that was incorporated as a decision, special condition. This well must be physically disconnected from the system regardless of any valving arrangement. This meaning that we just can't valve it off, we have to physically break that connection. This well may no longer be used as a source of supply. The permittee must obtain a public water supply permit from the department prior to any use of this well. So meaning that if something happened to well 2 and you needed to bring well number 1 back online, we would have to go before DEP and ask for that to occur. And item 4, which when I read it, I took exception with, and I noted it as such in my report, is that the 30-day issuance of the permit, the permittee shall install the 60-gallon per minute non-adjustable flow restriction device after the 1,500-gallon hydropneumatic tanks, but before the entry point. Where I took exception was they put 60 gallons per minute in there. And being that the 4-log piping is rated for 65 gallons per minute, I raised a red flag and I asked them to clarify that. They issued an email, Mr. Hess issued an email on September 30th, and his statement was, condition number 4 requires the authority to install the 60 GPM non-adjustable flow restriction device after the 1,500-gallon hydropneumatic tanks, but before the entry point. This refers to the Griswold Model 4SF60 GPM flow controller that was specified in the permit application, meaning that was the model number and the rated flow for that device. The condition is not limiting the instantaneous maximum flow to 60 gallons per minute. Condition 2A limits the instantaneous maximum flow through the treatment system to 65 gallons a minute. So I wanted him to go on record because we don't want any further confusion to when DEP shows up on site and says you're only allowed to have 60 gallons per minute. I sent this email to the authority members, and I would suggest or ask that this memo be attached to the permit in your file, so that when DEP comes around and can't remember anything, and they see this permit, that it's no longer an issue, the instantaneous maximum flow that the four-log system can accept is 65 gallons a minute, okay? So, just as a word of caution, I would suggest that that be included in the file. I'm including it in our files too, because this will come back and be an issue, I can guarantee it, you know.
I have an issue and concern already.
Yeah, I'll give it. What's that?
I have an issue and a concern already.
Go ahead.
We need to try to see what they can do to work with us in our present situation in regards to terminating that well.
Are you talking about well number one or?
Yeah.
One.
Yeah, the one we're gonna terminate.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be touching the pipe. You're gonna, as soon as you do that, you're gonna take all the support away from it. As soon as you terminate that, there is no structural support to carry all that piping in there. I mean, I was just in there the other day and we talked about this. I do not know what to do to satisfy them, but I do not know how to terminate that without possibly risking a complete failure of the piping in that hole. Are you in agreement with that?
I would certainly not argue that fact.
I mean, there's a big T it comes into, each one of them comes over and gets piped into it and it increases on the line size. And the gate valve is right there beside the well pit. And I mean, unhook the electric, cut the wires off,
Well,
all that kind of stuff,
yeah.
yes. But to physically terminate that piping from that well pit is doing nothing but asking for trouble.
Yeah. I did have a discussion with Mike Hess at DEP of what they would require, because I suggested to him just taking the wires, conductors from the motor itself. He said, no, that wouldn't suffice.
I understand that, but I mean, if I gotta personally walk there with one of them people and sit there and
Yeah.
explain to them
Yeah,
that this could end up becoming, we
Right.
could end up having a substantial failure, and with this failure, we could be
Right.
down for not just a couple days or a day, we could be out of business.
right.
Maybe they ought to get their butts out of the chair and come
Because
up
if
and
it goes,
look
if
at
any
it.
of that stuff agitates and carries over and goes all the way back to them tanks, it is nothing but problems.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would like to see if they could give us something for, I don't know, a 2-year window here, so we try to get through this. I mean, explain to them where we're heading here and what we're trying to do.
Right. The only thing I can see is maybe pulling the pump out of the well.
The pipe goes over and down in the top of the casing,
You
it
know.
can't be done. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, and try to,
I mean, I would love to pull the well
yeah,
and do that, but from that gate valve to that's probably only that far away. Everything's fairly close and compact in that window. And then you got that long piece of pipe that got all that leverage going back to the next fitting, and that is not a very good.
Well, can I suggest that we come up and take a look at it and see if there's something we can come up with? I don't know that we're gonna come up with anything else than you've come up with, because you, being a plumber, piping person, you know, you probably have your ideas, but I'm just thinking,
I mean, to cut it all out,
well, with
then
the,
they're gonna require, if that valve leaks, then we got other issues.
yeah. So,
I mean, there's so many issues that come to play with this, because there's no way to get back to a thread.
right,
There is no way that I can see that you can safely take that back, put pipe wrenches on that, back that out without possibly twisting and snapping off a nipple.
yeah. Well, Henry, I don't know what to tell you. Only thing I can say is we talk to DEP and see if we can get them to come out and try to be, you know, apply some logic and reason to it, but,
I mean, I have no problem cutting the wires off, terminating them all the way back, everything else, whatever it takes to prove that well will never function.
right,
But as far as being able to open that up and get down in that well cap,
Yeah.
that's,
I'll call Mike Hess and see what we can do. I'll try to explain the situation to him. I think,
the ideal situation would be to shut the valve,
yeah,
break the union,
right,
or cut it,
right.
screw the pipe out of the valve, and screw a plug in the end of the valve.
And still,
I-
didn't disconnect the conductors to the motor, because then, you know, it's not gonna wanna run, you just, yeah.
But then that physically terminates it from the well, but with
Right.
that, then it, one thing is putting hangers up to support it, that's one thing. Second thing is, short of building an angle iron frame and you bolting it 100% tight in 3 or 4 places before you even think about that, I mean, it would be a nightmare to create something that's
Yeah.
gonna be immobile before you put a pipe wrench on that and pull that, because anything you do right in that area could carry back there, what is that, about 4 or 5 feet to the next nipple? I mean, if you pull just crooked one way or the other, and that nipple's already in a situation that I'm fearful of.
Yeah. What I brought up at the last meeting when you weren't here was that Mike Hess, I think, I don't know that you're aware of this, he's taken another position at DEP. He's no longer at the South Central Regional Office. He's now in the Central Office in downtown Harrisburg. He's trying to clear out these projects and finalize them so he can go on and move forward with his new position. So I will contact him. I don't know if it will be Mike that I'll have to speak to or somebody else, because I think at this point he figures he's done with this. So it might be Mike Hess, it might be Sean Cable, or it might be Rod Nesmith. I don't know, but I'll make the effort to contact them and see if we
I
can
mean,
move.
if I have to,
Yeah.
get Lou to take a picture of it, send it to me, and we'll forward it to you in regards to where we're at here in this concern, but
Yeah,
there's, the touch stuff down in there right now is not what we got another problem being addressed right now. We're doing it the least invasive way possible.
Right. And as part of that special conditions of that comprehensive operation permit, we've been told we need to do the flow restrictor within 30 days. I don't know if there's been anything scheduled to do that. And I think previously there was a question whether we would have to issue a boil water notice. And Mr. Hess's, which I think I forwarded back to the authority members and foam, was that that's not necessary as long as we close the valve prior to the flow restrictor, flow control valve, and after the water meter. As long as we do not depressurize the system all but for that short distance, he's fine. Just as far as like swabbing the flow restrictor with some chlorine solution and just being careful. So with that being said, that's part of the requirements of the special permit condition too. I don't know if there's any plans or maybe it's already installed. I don't know.
I don't think that's a big deal to implement, is it, Lou?
Our operator discussed that with DEP, similar to what you just said, Randy, that they want the valves closed.
Mhm.
They do not want to depressurize.
Right.
But they want a chlorine solution, they want everything dipped and installed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was similar. Yeah.
And we can do that when you say you want to do that.
Yeah. So.
Now, tell them when to do it.
Well, the permit was issued September 26th, so the clock's running, so I don't know, you know, so.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory, Lou. I don't think we have much choice. I think you need to get it done,
If you want us to do it, we'll do it.
right?
Now, as long as we do not lose pressure, then we'll
Right.
have to issue a. full
Exactly.
order.
Well, if we close those valves, we should be okay.
That's-
And, because those are new valves and everything, so.
So you're saying do it?
Is that the consensus? I
And
think
you
we should
guys
do it.
have the valve down at the
We
treatment
have the
plant.
valve.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We'll sanitize it and
Yeah.
we'll install it if that's your wish.
Okay,
Go ahead.
What flush,
Am I hearing
flushes?
yes?
Yes.
Okay.
okay. So.
Randy, could I also get a copy of your information from DEP?
Yep, I'll
so
send
we
that to
can
you.
Forward that to our operator,
Yeah.
if you would, please.
I mean, I think I have the support of you, Lou, and I think probably what Jody's looked at, I don't think you'd want to touch it either, would you? I mean, to go back to the point where you
I'd
can
do
do
it
it
crazy
dirty
to
water.
go in
I
there
don't
and
go
cut
with
that
clean
apart.
water.
Do what you want. We're not doing it. You won't get anybody to go in there and do that.
I mean, you're down to the point of putting a roustabout on it. I don't like that.
All right, I don't think there's anything else to touch base on Sunshine Hills, you know, any questions? No? Okay. Moving on to the Michael Ward Sewer Project. I called Lou the other day and asked if we could get some flow information. And one thing I do have, on your times, is that like a reference point of 12 midnight and anything after that? So, for example, 8:55 is 8:55 a.m.
Yeah.
and 12:15 is 12:15 after 15 minutes after noon, right? And 1:46 would be 1:46 in the afternoon. So
Correct.
you're not using military time. I just wanted to make sure that, I don't know that there's anything, well, yeah, 6:30, I guess 8 o'clock. That would be in the evening then. Or, no, 6,
No,
that's AM?
That's
Okay. Yeah, there
Most
was,
of the time they're AM.
because 3:40 though, that would be
That's PM.
PM. Okay, so I'm just trying to get an idea.
Most of the numbers you'll see are AM.
AM, except once it goes afternoon,
Right,
okay, if it's 3, 4, it's gonna,
Depends
Pro-
on which end of the circuit we start.
right.
yeah, and 6 o'clock's probably the earliest, right? 6,
Correct.
okay, all right, just trying to get an idea from the data. Well, anyway, from the last meeting, we were showing that, like August 25th, that we had some partial information, and thereafter, like August 26th, we had nothing. So there was an issue with the Century Advisor flow data logger. As a result of, I guess, last meeting, the authority solicitor, Mr. Chateau, had sent out a letter to Mr. Ward, stating, I guess, that, you know, there was some issues in getting access to the information from the Century Advisor data logger. And as a result of that letter, on September 22nd, I got a call from Mr. Ward. And it's funny because as of that date, I called Dennis. I said, hey, I'm starting to be able to get information again, which was like, I called Dennis like 8 or maybe 9 o'clock. I think Mr. Ward called me 9:35, something like that. So the system was back up collecting data. And Mr. Ward said he has been out of town. He didn't have a chance to really look into this, but I guess they were aware of it as well. But then they felt that was a result of a lightning strike or something in the area, and it caused the data logger to go out, which typically happens with electrical equipment, and you know, a lot of times. So anyway, just getting to the point where the information was accessible again. I look back to August 25th. It looks like we got complete data, and then I ran that up to October 2nd. And overall, I went back from August 1st to October 2nd, and what we were at, we got a total of about 157,000 gallons for that period of time. And over that duration, it turned out to be a daily average of about 2,492 gallons per day, which is approximately 16.6 EDUs. Now, again, he was only paid for 10 EDU capacity, so he's in excess of that on an average daily basis. Looked at the data a little bit, didn't spend a whole lot of time because of the lapse. I don't want to put more time into this without getting permission to do that. But I looked at some precipitation events that were the highest precipitation events in August and in part of September, and I guess even more recently in October here. What I found was in September 8th, we got an 8-inch rainfall according to like Marysville weather station. And
You got a what?
a 1-inch rainfall.
Oh, 1 inch.
What did I say? 1 foot?
You said
Oh,
8 inch.
I was gonna say, holy hell.
Not, it's September 8th, I thought I said. Okay, 1 inch rainfall. And we We noted there on his data logger that he had about over 3,700 gallons for that day, which is approximately 24.8 EDUs. Okay? Then going back to this more recent event where we had rain starting on the 28th into October 1st, you know, we had 0.11 inches for the 28th, 0.41 inches for the 29th, 0.41 inches on the 30th, 0.31 inches on the 1st, and then preceding that on the 27th of September and through the 2nd and 3rd, there was no rainfall.
So the end result is we got I&I.
I believe we do,
Okay,
because
that's
on the
what we're getting.
0.41 inches for Marysville, and Duncannon showed 0.43 for that day, we had 3,430 gallons per day for that day. So there is some correlation to believe that there is infiltration.
Okay, we kinda
Okay.
had that hunch and we expressed that
Exactly.
concern to him up front.
But you know, based upon the high value of September 8th, you know, we're about 24.86 EDUs, which is just shy of 25. So that's like 15. But again, I don't know how you want to regulate this if you, in that you take the average for so many month period and then base it on that or what. But there appears to be some direct correlation with precipitation events and flow rates. With that being said, that's why I called Lou and said, hey, can we get some information on what the flows are coming into the Cove plant? Little bit of a disadvantage here because the flows are taken daily, but they're taken at different times. And so we're not actually able to correlate based upon an actual 24-hour basis. It's not being taken at the same time to evaluate that. But for September 8th and September 9th, September 7th, which it says 0.071 million gallons per day, which would be 71,000 gallons per day. On September 8th, it was 67,000 gallons. And on September 9th, 76,000. And then on the 10th, it dropped down to 36,000. So I think there might be some reason to believe that, you know, there is coming into the plant, there's some effect as a result of this issue, not only for Mr. Ward's property, but maybe some other I&I within the system. So anyway, I'd have to look at the data a little more carefully to see what time there is between the readings, you know, whether it's 20 hours or 30 hours or whatever. So that, but anyway, bottom line is, whatever you want me to do, we can evaluate this data a little more carefully and develop a spreadsheet on a daily basis, and then I could present that. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it and then you say that wasn't necessary.
Dennis, what's our options?
Well, I mean,
We know we got an issue here.
yeah, we have an issue. It's, if we're going to, well, I guess the options would be to tell him we have an issue and that he either needs to correct the I&I or purchase capacity. But if I recall correctly, there may be an issue with
That's
the purchase.
that's not possible.
Yeah. So it may be that we start with the idea of getting it corrected.
Yeah, I think
We want to make sure we have a, you know, in case this gets into a shoving match, we
Yeah.
have a strong case.
All right, how about if you forward a letter to him expressing to our concerns that we are pretty positive we have an I&I issue with you that's gonna need to be corrected, and we will have proper documentation here forthcoming,
Right, okay.
as long as we are being able to monitor the system,
right, right.
okay? Which
And
we
that's
are
right.
required to have, okay?
Yeah.
He needs to talk to us, and it needs to be corrected,
Yep.
okay? I mean, depends on how it works, he's just about doubling his usage
Yeah.
at certain times,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay?
And at the last meeting, Mr. Ox said about the capacity of the low-pressure sewer. I did look at that based upon some of these numbers. My thoughts are that we are having increased flows into the system. These numbers, just be cautioned too, that these numbers are based upon the runtime of the pump and an assumed gallons rated capacity for the pump, which is 11 gallons per minute. So they could be slightly down because, there is more flow going into the system, whereas,
This is not 1 or 2
yeah.
EDUs. This
No,
is
no,
more
what I'm saying is,
substantial.
we
So
might be
it's-
like
so
9
even
and a
if
half,
there's
10 gallons a minute, so.
Even if there's an
yeah.
error on this
Yeah.
thing, it's still way out.
Right,
It's not an issue. I mean.
yeah,
they're-
exactly,
it's
we're not that
radical
far
enough.
off, we're not that far off.
I mean, if we were sitting there and it was it was 11 EDUs and he had 10, well, it's a little tough to say something.
Yeah,
Okay?
right.
But you're out there and it's out of parameters, way out of parameters.
Exactly.
It's-
So-
It's simple. It needs to be corrected.
What I've done is I've contacted Site Specific, who was supposed to sell the pump station, grinder pump station, to Mr. Ward. And Mr. Ward went out of his territory and purchased it from another person. So I asked them to review the numbers that, based upon the elevated flows, and see what they could come up with. My personal feeling is that we might be pumping less, longer durations, and so with other pumps coming online, it's still going to work. I don't think, the bottom line, I don't think anybody's complained about having any issues with their grinder pumps and having to be able to put capacity into the low pressure sewer line. So what I'm saying is, if we start building up more users and
Whoa.
Go ahead.
I'm a little concerned about how you can say there's users in there, because the way I'm counting it, there's 4, one of them's vacant on the upper side with him, and then it goes into an open line.
right. That's what the-
So those other people, I mean, the amount of usage in that is minimum. It's all him.
Yeah, for the most part.
I
Yeah, but
mean.
we have those
do
people
we
coming
shut
up
the
along
valve
15.
and pump everybody below down, or are they coming back, Sam?
Everybody below that new section we put in is going down. The only thing that's going up and into schoolhouse is the 4 units along State Road and
Mr. Ward.
Mr. Ward.
And one of them's vacant.
I believe so.
Yes.
One of them is vacant at the present moment, okay?
Yeah.
So you got 3 units, so there should only be 13 EDUs total coming into that system.
Right. Well, what I was trying to justify is that if you have the volume and you have the storage, and these pumps back up on their curve a little bit, you could still get water, sewer, wastewater into the low pressure sewer. It's just not going to be at the rated capacity within normal operating ranges. So what it does is we'll have storage in the grinder pump units, the sump itself. They'll still be able to pump, but maybe not at 11 gallons a minute. They might be pumping at 8 and a half.
And those units, of those
It's just-
people down in there, the amount of use I would say is going in now, they're probably gonna be minimal, because they're not large dwelling units.
Right.
I mean, so I'm trying to say that your engineering factors, if you're telling me something here, you're trying to tell me your numbers ain't right.
No, how
okay?
the system
And
is.
if that's the case, then
No.
I'm not very happy about what I'm hearing.
No, what I'm telling you is that how the system is designed, it's on probability of how many pumps are going to operate at one time. And what I'm saying to you is it has a capacity, and based upon the flow and the head loss through the pressure system. So what it is instead of,
Okay, well then do it this way.
right,
I'm pretty sure those other pumps are not running in the middle of the night, and you have hourly meters on that, right? When the run time is on it. Check the daylight time shift and check the nighttime time shift on his, and see if it's moving differently in the run times on the heavy rains.
I don't know that, I'll have to look to see if we have that information where we can do the run time specifically throughout the day.
Because in the middle of the night, I can almost guarantee you those other units ain't running.
Right, exactly.
So there should not be no load on him.
Well, and the other thing, well, what I'm getting at is the system is designed based upon how many pumps will operate at one time, okay? And what I'm saying is that with the more increased flow from him, he's going to operate, he's at the very end of the system. He's
And
going
he's
to,
on 1.5 inches and everybody else is on 2.
right. And how the low pressure sewer system, it keeps increasing as it goes down. in diameter. But what I'm getting at is that if he's generating so much flow, he has a sump and it operates on levels. So he might be backing up a little bit on his curve. As long as he stays within the ability to store wastewater in that sump, he might be running for longer durations, okay? And it's still going to allow other people to contribute into the low pressure sewer system, okay? Like I said, I don't have all the answers. I have site-specific looking into it to see if there are any issues or they feel that there are any issues. And what this goes back to was when the system was originally designed and the pipe was put in, we had site-specific run the system hydraulics as part of the overall shop drawing review and approval process for the firm out of Shiremanstown. I can't think of the name of it at the moment. But when we reviewed the shop drawings, and they assured us that it was going to work, because at that time we had some concerns as well. So I don't see that it's an issue. That's still to be determined. I'll let site-specific make that call. Again, I just don't see that.
It's far enough out that there's a problem, we need to get it fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like.
Well, the point is he has infiltration. We're above the EDUs that he rated capacity that he paid for. We have to remedy that first. If he comes in to in accordance with those requirements, then it's a moot point. Okay. So
We just have to figure out how we gotta get that done, Dennis.
Yeah, I'll get him a letter and I think, I mean, I'll outline the problem and suggest that he come in and meet with us.
I mean,
So,
this was already an issue when
Yeah,
the
we-
treatment plant was there. We knew
This
there was a problem.
was contemplated and expected from the very beginning.
And he was even expressed those concerns. And he was in agreement with
Yes.
anything that was out of parameters, he would correct.
This last part of the conversation, am I hearing that he has 10 EDUs?
he has
right?
10
And
EDUs
there are
that he
13
played.
that are
Possibly.
what you're measuring, or is
Yeah,
that-
well, based upon that one rainfall event, and we had 24.86 EDUs. So it'd be
But I mean,
15.
are there connections other than just 10 that
While
are
you're at it,
contributing?
remind him of that.
Yes. You follow me?
No,
okay.
there's other people connected to the line. They're saying there's 4. I was thinking it was more than that. But,
But we know they're not included in what we're concerned about with his I&I. Is that
right,
fair?
exactly.
Okay.
That his I&I is what is being contributed to the grinder pump. And I had a conversation with him, and I think I made a reference to this at the prior meeting, as maybe 2 meetings I made reference to this. Had a conversation where he says his water meter is reading about 2,500 gallons a minute, or 2,500 gallons per day, excuse me. And so already he's above his 1,500 that he has capacity, unless those people are watering lawns, washing cars, washing down their driveways, filling pools. I don't know. I don't think, driving by there, I don't think that happens, but, so anyway, he's already 1,000 gallons above and beyond what he's saying he was putting into the system, design-wise. So, he admitted that in a conversation that we had over the phone. So that raised a red flag right there. So he's using more water than what he originally proposed he was going to use. Plus, what raises a red flag is looking at these precipitation events, just, to some degree, there appears to be that there's a direct correlation. So, again, I think there's some issues here. We need to address them. It's
All right,
beyond.
Dennis, you're gonna get a letter to him.
I'll do it.
I mean, that's as simple as we can go with right now. I
Right.
think it'd be a good idea if you monitor this a little bit more. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks. Come up with something a little bit more concrete, work it out as we go along with this. That way we're being active on his behalf and you got paperwork to fall back if we gotta go through some legal actions.
Yes.
Yep, I agree.
Okay? We need to keep this as current as possible.
Works for me.
I'm gonna do that on a daily basis. I'm gonna correlate a precipitation
What is-
event with a flow.
What is DEP's requirements on dwelling units on a private well?
What was it again?
Yeah,
Dwelling units on a private well, which is what he's gotta keep under.
I think it's 15.
well, you need a
It's less than
permit,
that. On his behalf, I think it's less than that.
It's less, if it's less than 15, it's a non-community system.
or 25 people
Okay,
on
but what
a,
I'm trying to tell you
Yeah.
is he was told to terminate the apartment complex,
Right.
and you start counting the other units in there under 10. So something's not adding up from what you're telling me to what's down there, the way I can add it up in my mind.
Maybe there's something connected that shouldn't be there, maybe.
You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
I'm counting 1, 2, if you count the stone house, say there's 2 in it. You got the brick house down below the stone house, that's 5. You got the old restaurant, 2nd floor, and you got above the garage,
And there's a trailer,
6, okay, 5, 6,
at least
7,
one trailer.
8,
Yeah,
And there's another house beside the trailer too.
on the upper side.
8, so there'd be 9. Okay? So give a benefit of doubt and say there's 10. Okay?
yeah, well,
That's his 10 EDUs.
that's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And the water usage to that would be
1,500.
1,500.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's not counting the garage itself. So when you start doing the math here, it's right there. With the I&I on top of it, it throws it way out of the
Right.
range. I mean,
Right.
there's just no way possible for that to be where it is. Okay? You got that, Dennis?
I do.
All right. What else you got?
I think that's pretty much it, unless you have some questions for me.
Well, we might, after the operator's done, start to
Okay.
talk. Who knows? All right. You guys are up. You're gonna be the guest speaker tonight?
I am the guest speaker tonight.
Oh, okay.
Something different, we like to change it up. I believe everybody's got a copy of the
Uh-uh.
soon. Well, then I guess I'll read it to you. I was hoping not to do that, but everything operated, the treatment plants and the well system operated satisfactorily during the month of September. Under work items for the month, there's a number of things that are listed, and these things, when we talk about work items, these are
Would you like to
unusual events.
would you like to rephrase that a little bit?
How's that?
I think you misquoted that.
What did I quote?
Well, everything
Statement.
functioned and operated properly all for the month of September.
Yeah, September, this is October, it's for last month.
Well, yeah, we had malfunction.
A couple. Satisfactory.
Mostly satisfactory. There are a number of things that are listed, particularly at the Cove Treatment Plant. And they really have to do, and there were 2 separate days. September 13th, we got there, and all the, what are described as the influent pumps, but they're the EQ pumps for treatment trains 1 and 2, all of them were out of service. They were all, nobody was pumping anything. You know, so we didn't know until we arrived there that there was no forward flow through the plant. It was all building up in the EQ tanks. And 3 of the pumps had blockages in them, which were cleared, and they were returned to service and operated. One of the pumps had an electrical problem, it couldn't be made to operate again even after it was cleared, and had to be replaced with a new spare pump that was on hand. And so that was one situation where we get to the plant and there's no forward flow through the treatment process. The treatment process itself is a continuous process. You know, there's constantly flow moving into the treatment units, and there's constantly flow, portion of the flow is being returned back to the front of the treatment units, and it goes over and over and over. And then the treated effluent is chlorinated, dechlorinated, and discharged to the receiving stream. When you get a situation like this that disrupts that forward flow, and you can have a problem with the quality of the water that you're then discharging to the stream. Probably not the disinfection portion of it in a day's time, but certainly you could have a problem if you were sampling in the quality of the water, the degree of treatment being achieved. So that was one situation. Then on September 30th, we arrived at the plant, and on this instance, all the blowers were off. Now, so that means that the pumps were operating, and there was forward flow through the plant, but there was no mixing, there was no aeration, so there was a minimum degree of treatment that would occur as the flow progressed through the plant, because all the flow couldn't be in contact with the biological material that does the work of treatment, because it's sitting at the bottom of the tanks, because there's no air to integrally mix it and intimately mix it with the wastewater moving forward from the beginning of the plant to the end of the plant. So in all the cases, you know, steps were taken to correct the situation and to return the plant to normal operation. And we'll continue on that in a little bit. The Concord treatment plant, there was a problem with the influent pump, one of the influent pumps. That was corrected. The weatherproof enclosure and the sampler have been installed. We're now waiting to install the cabling for power and for the signal from the flow meter to the sampler, and that'll occur during this month, as soon as we get that scheduled. And I have to flip the page over. Yeah, the water system, we did note. We had a problem with the hypochlorite solution feed pump. We eventually found that the hypochlorite injection point was clogged, which you're aware of, Henry. And in order to be able to provide disinfection to the water supply, we cannibalized the Aquamag injection point into the water system. So at this point in time, no Aquamag, the sequestering agent for the iron, is being added, because we're using that injection point into the piping system with the addition of chlorine for disinfection purposes. Lou met with Chairman Holman at the well site on the 22nd of this month, and there was some discussion. They selected a point for a hot tap of the piping so that a new injection valve could be installed, and that will be done by LV Water Service at a point in time as yet to be scheduled.
Have you been in contact with them?
I contacted them Friday as well as Monday. Friday, the gentleman, Rick, I can't recall his last name.
Rich.
Was not available. So the other gentleman said he would get back to me, which he did on Monday, and said, well, they're not sure if they have all the parts, and he would get back to me. And today is what, Wednesday, and I have not heard from him.
All right, I will make a phone call tomorrow.
Okay.
As big as they are, the parts should be readily available within one of their branch offices if it can't happen.
I thought that also.
Okay? And I will contact them, and they have your contact information now?
They do.
Okay, and I will make sure that gets going on, okay?
So
The
that's,
board has been informed of it, they got a copy of it, and they said they got, we made a verbal to proceed with that, so there's no issue with the board here in regards to making it come together. That price technically had two different types of clamping devices on it for the hot tap, so with everything there, it should be a little bit cheaper, but not a lot. One of them disappears on the, they don't know which one they're gonna need to put on. Lou picked the point, we're happy with it.
there is one question that Lou and I had talked about, and that is the abandonment of the existing tap point. How will that be terminated in an effective way? Will LB?
LV will not touch that.
Okay.
That's gonna be something we need to talk about.
Okay.
It appears to be seeping around the rusted threads, and the injection point, which is a check valve, where it was disconnected, was leaking the other day, which let's just say I put a plug on it the best I could and stopped that.
Can you just put a wrench on it?
No, I just put a connection and a piece of influent tubing to that, pinched it over and shut it off, basically, pinched it off. You saw how bad it is. It's for the people in the room, it's just, you just don't wanna play with it much.
And I don't like PVC ball valves because you gotta put a lot of pressure and tension on them to turn them, and I even think that's probably a good idea to shut that off.
Over time, they'll work, they'll get brittle and crack.
Anyone's welcome to go give it a shot, but I will not.
So that is another concern in this whole well situation, is that tap, that abandoned tap then becomes a,
The only thing we can probably do is take a look at it, and if I'm not mistaken, that quill that goes in there probably is a PVC thread. Or is it glued in?
I can't answer that.
I'm assuming it's thread. With that being said, we can find what thread it is, and we can probably have a plug
Possibly.
on standby, so when we have our next issue, we can interrupt that and put that in, okay? I don't, because you're gonna shut the place down.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be without pressure.
Yes, you're gonna depressurize it. So I'd say we see what we can do until it gets depressurized the next time. Hopefully it's a long time from now, but we'd be ready for it, you know what I'm saying?
As long as the state doesn't make you go in there and cut anything open.
Right. Right, that's the other issue, so, continue.
So I'm gonna jump to recommendations. In light of the situation at the Cove plant, which is a sizable, facility, considerable discharge, it would be it's not a small discharger, as far as DEP is concerned. We're suggesting that the authority consider the purchase and installation of an alarm telemetry system at the plant to monitor certain critical systems or items of equipment and give notification if they fail.
Would that work out, that would work out of the panel boxes?
Yeah, well, what I would envision is something like the OmniSite unit. I don't know if you're familiar with those. It's think of it as a chatterbox that operates with a cellular phone, so that you're not hooked to a landline. And, we would obviously have to select the aerators, certain pumps that would, when they're in the on position, if there's a failure and they're not energized, that we would get a call, so that we could respond in 45 minutes or so, rather than 20 hours later. We could be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, we could leave at 11, and at 11:30, something could stop, and no one would know until the next day. And for those kind of systems, particularly the aeration, loss of power, loss of the motive pumps through the system, the authority should be made aware of that as soon as reasonably possible.
Do you have research with that, with other places that you have?
Now, we've been involved with the OmniSite units at a variety of locations, and much like the E1 system, you can actually go in and look at real-time information. It data logs things, it data logs when there were alarms, you know, when there were tests, what the status of the unit is. So it's a more robust and enhanced telemetry system than the old chatterboxes were. And I think from a cost standpoint, I would assume it's comparable. So that's.
Now, you're mentioning Omni, but there's other ones that are out there too.
There may well be, but that's a very reliable unit.
Okay.
We don't install them, we deal with them.
So how much do they cost?
Well, we can, if it would be a consideration, the board would, something the board would consider, what we can do is collect some information for your evaluation.
I think we ought to collect it. Maybe we can figure this in on next year's budget. Okay, and work it into it as we go. Maybe that would be something, because we're getting close to budget time here. If you see anything that's got some cost to it, recommend it to us and we'll see what we can't do. There might be things we can, there might be things that we can't. Okay? I have no objection to going with this because you're not locally here. And I understand it takes 45 minutes, probably a response time to get here. And I understand that. So,
well, there's very little that would be a major problem that could occur in 45 minutes. In 4 hours, 8 hours, 20 hours.
yes, and I understand that. And yet the alarm is the value part to save you a bunch of extra headaches and trouble. And I understand that.
That's the only recommendation that that exists in this current reporting period. Outstanding items, we did receive from Jody Hoffman of IJ Tech, who's in the room. Jody's in the room. He has not left the building. A verbal cost of $980 to install redundant high water alarm float switch code pumping station. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jody, my understanding is that would be the installation of the float and running it over to the cabinet, and then we would make the
We'll work with you. You just have to tell us where.
final termination of that alarm.
You guys will have to be there when we make the final.
Okay, so that's what we know in that part at this point.
There's no alarm on it right now?
Well, just to clarify that was the thing we talked about several months ago, where what happens if in the Gorman Rough Station with the bubbler system, when the bubbler system fails, you have nothing. You have no controls, you have no alarms. And that's when it backed into the elementary school, I believe it was, twice. And there is no backup alarm. When it fails, it fails.
Right.
So this would be a backup independent of that alarm, that wouldn't occur. Now you have two alarms.
Yeah, the dialer has its own battery backup, and so this is, I think, normally open contacts, right? And so what happens is, if for
When the
some
float
reason
comes up, it contacts
the
and
bubbler
it says-
fails or the control panel fails, even though you haven't lost power to the station, the wet well fills, the contacts close, triggers the dialer to say you have a redundant high water alarm. So you know you've got a problem that needs to be addressed.
And how much was that?
I believe it was $980 is what I have heard. That's what I wrote down.
Parts and labor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any comments from the board?
That's pretty good idea,
A motion?
No comments?
Yeah, we discussed that before.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
So I'll make the motion
Yeah, that's fine.
that we install the redundant high water alarm pump at the Cove Pump Station.
Second.
So regularly moved and seconded to connect the extra float for the pump station, Cove plant. All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay?
Yeah,
So put-
I figured that one. Let's do it when it's on.
Get the stuff ready.
That's for 900,
980.
980, okay?
Parts and labor,
That's
I got it
right.
down.
Pumping
Okay.
station.
Cove pumping station, got that too.
right.
IJ Tech, got that.
What else?
That is all we're reporting at the moment.
Keep me abreast of what's going on with LB Water. I will contact them tomorrow.
Tell him to call me. As I said, I called twice. I didn't get to talk to the Rick guy, but the other guy said he would talk to him, and he wasn't sure they had everything, he'd get back to me, but.
I don't picture him playing golf on Friday afternoons, but I'll make sure
I don't
that,
know, I
I'll
don't
find
think
out
the
where you
items
go
are
from.
really uncommon to find, but.
all right, I'll get with them. If not, I can go up the food chain up there. I know the other ones have been there a lot longer than him.
We're available when they wanna do it.
All right. Nothing else for the operator? Is there anything else that we need the engineer for? Is there anything you need the engineer for in discussion?
Not that I know.
Is it safe to send him down the road?
I don't know if it's safe, but.
It's dark outside. I don't.
Not for the other
Tell you what,
drivers.
Randy, sit here till the operator.
Okay.
You know where the cops sit there, Dino's?
Let's hit the field representative here and see what he has to say. That way we'll catch him too.
What about this pump station maintenance thing that they had come up with last? Is
Yes.
that gonna be elsewhere on the agenda? Okay.
I guess we gotta bring that up underneath probably the old business, because it's a proposal. I don't see any issues with it unless everybody wants to take action on it now.
Let's do it now and get it over.
All right, everybody looked at the, okay, for the wet wells, the only concerns I have, and they're small, is back in the back. Owner's responsibility. I mean, I don't have a problem with, snow removal. We'll do something there. The refuge disposal. How
We'll continue to handle.
How would you wish to handle
We will
that?
continue with the refuse disposal.
I mean, I'm assuming that
As we
I
currently.
probably, I could
Take
probably,
it to the dumpster right out here.
right, that's what I'm trying to say, I mean,
The lady over here gave me the devil the other day, I don't know who she is, but she
Yeah,
yelled at me.
well,
I mean-
they put it in too.
Well, she wanted to know why I was there, and I explained that, she said, you don't work for the township. No, I said, I work for the municipal authority, and this is where they told me to put this material. Well, you can't put that in there. She said, I'll have to clean it up. I don't know, she lives right over here in the trail.
I mean,
I was trying
passing
to be
her,
as polite
whoever
as
it
I
is.
could be to her, and then I quickly got out of there.
Caldwell puts
I
construction.
mean, I was
materials
kinda
on
hoping
it.
that was the direction you were heading, I was sure, but I didn't think you wanted us to hire a cleaning crew for all our sites, I mean, that's.
As long as you give us a place to dispose of it, and it works in small quantities, we will continue to do
Okay,
that.
I think that's satisfactory, that's what I was
Yes.
getting at, that's the only concern
When
I
you get a
had.
dump truck, that may be a
Yeah, we're
different
not
issue.
bringing
Correct.
dump trucks in.
Okay,
Terminology.
all right, do we wanna approve this? I don't see,
I just have something small also, which you've already touched on, one of the things I was gonna mention. The other, on page 2 says about the meter readings. There had been some difficulty with communication on meter readings between the township and the borough. Has that all been resolved?
That's the DMRs,
yeah,
and
the
that's,
paperwork with,
that's gonna
remember how
be-
the issues we had originally with Duncannon, getting the paperwork to them in a timely manner and everything else? That's all taken
There
care
and
of,
back
they're
on.
happy
Is
with
that-
it?
Yeah, you bring them up and give them to Karen.
We give them to Karen once a month, and she
Yeah.
has not questioned anything.
No, yeah, that's
So that's
working out
straightened
fine.
out?
What's not
Okay.
working is Ken getting them to us, but that's
Well,
a
that's
good
on
one.
their end.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, just as long as that was taken
Yep.
care of. And just for my own point of reference, who's doing the PA1 calls for the municipal authority?
Jody.
That's
That's on his bill,
Thank you.
you'll see.
I wasn't sure if you were, okay, thank you. Okay.
And once maybe the township gets set up, maybe I'll see if we can't, when they're doing their PA1 calls, I'm assuming they're gonna do their own, I don't know.
They have been,
They have been?
right? You don't do theirs. No, I think
I
that,
met their guy though the other day.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know, I might be able to talk to them and that might,
no, they're doing their own.
okay. I'll talk to them and see if we can't consolidate this a little bit, you know. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
It might be simpler, might save him a trip up the road for, not to take work from you, but at the same atmosphere, sometimes that can be a real pain.
Yeah, I get yelled at a lot.
So instead of two people getting yelled, one person can get yelled at, you know what I'm trying to say?
I got yelled at tonight.
But that wasn't a PA1 call.
Yes, it was.
Oh, was it?
I was doing the PA1 call there because I informed him he's gonna have to dig the line from the house
Okay.
and he wasn't a happy camper.
Hmm.
And then the neighbor came across and yelled and said her water was dirty. That's what I'm bringing up tonight.
Oh, okay, so you're next, but that's coming, okay, so, do we hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right,
I'll second.
second, to accept the Foam's proposal for the pump stations.
In the amount of, unless you don't want that in the minutes.
Well, it's $4,980 is the retainer,
Is the retainer structure, yes.
there's the annual fee, and the retainer billed monthly at $415.
So it's 4,980 plus a monthly thing of no. Okay, never mind.
Sorry, didn't mean to confuse you.
All right, Susan?
$4,980 annual retainer. Got it.
Any discussion? All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And I'm assuming one of these I sign, and the other one you get a copy of. Or you get the original, they're both original. Yeah. Okay, we done with the operators. DMR master meter reports are in the correspondent folder.
I think that's the electronic DMR.
What's that?
If I may, the B under the one you just talked about, electronic DMR. There has been a mandate by EPA to DEP that the DMRs that we do, which are paper, as of the end of the year will become electronic. So Karen has received paperwork and she's already begun, which I guess I took one step maybe further than I should have and asked her not to go too far with that, because it's something that we as the operators should provide information for that.
I think she
Such
set
as-
up the account.
Yeah, such as passwords and things. They ask for a lot of information. There's an application process and a lot of paperwork that we have to do. And naturally, we're gonna put in some hours. There'll be a little bit of a fee there for us to get all that in. But we're gonna be looking into that because all our clients are the same. Everyone is being mandated to do that by the end of the year. So if you have no objections, we will look into that and take care of that to get that set up. Which we're not 100% sure who can go in there and look. We know we will be able to. Whether we can set up that someone here can look in and look at them, I think those options are there as well if somebody wants to look. There are people that can go in and do and only some that can go in and look. And we would probably prefer that only some of us go in there and change things. Probably just us.
I can understand that.
Okay.
I mean,
Which you have signed for us to authorize us to submit your DMRs, which would fall right under that. We would just be doing it electronically. Any objections to us going forward with that?
Instead of sending them to us, you mail
Well,
them
we
out?
give you copies and we submit to the state.
Okay.
But that will end sometime after the
Right.
end of the year.
Okay.
They didn't say when because of the load of people, but it will be inevitable that you will have to do them
I
electronic.
think the sign-up has to be completed by December 21st.
That's
Okay.
Sometime after the first of the year, the electronic submission will become the norm. There'll be no more paper.
Get it done.
Yeah, do it. I
And
mean,
if
consensus
there
enough
is,
for that,
if there
Dennis?
is an option for someone here to look, be able to go in there and look, who might that be? Set up something like Karen or anyone?
I think it would be, because she could bring it in, we could print it out then, right?
Yes.
We'd have the
I would
ability to
assume.
print it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the purpose, let her, and if we have any issues, we print it out,
Yeah,
okay? I think Karen would be the contact point for our behalf, okay?
yeah.
You're good?
Yep.
All right. All right, now we're into the field representative. You're up.
We've been getting like a lot of increased calls from people on Sunshine Hill water.
It's dirty.
Yeah. Now we're flushing it. Sam's gonna teach me how to flush it next week. We're set up for the 11th and 12th. I don't think that's gonna take care of the problem. You've got a lot of people. 24 Eisenhower is the first one that I really got involved in. They called up the valve at the street failed. I mean, you could spin the valve all the way around the ring, so it wasn't working. So we came up, crimped the line. We do hot tap, crimp the line, put a new valve on, decrimp the line, no water flow. We actually had to run a rod through back to the main to get water. Then we had horrendous pressure. But when we look from the valve into the house, that 3/4 line, if it was a 1/4 of an inch, it was a miracle.
It's galvanized, Jody?
No, that was copper.
Was copper?
That was the copper line going in the
What
house,
is it?
yeah. Completely corroded, and I told the plumber at the time, who was working for the bank that owned the house, that was trying to sell it, that, you know, you guys really should dig that up and replace it. And the bank, he basically told me, the bank said, if I hook it back up and there's water flow into the house, that's all they care about. That's what I just got yelled at up on Sunshine Hill, because that homeowner now has moved in, bought the house, moved in, and doesn't have any water pressure. That's what Mr. Hofer's problem is, who still calls every 3 times a week, you know.
And those lines have been in for how many years?
It's in late 50s.
Okay, I mean, I've done some replacements in Duncannon over the years.
But you have a lot of people that are blaming that issue on.
Old system.
No, they're not blaming. They're blaming it on us.
Yeah.
It's municipal authority. I'm not paying my water bill. That's what I get all the time. And I'm like, I'm just here to, you know,
I mean,
see what I can do. But you've got a lot of people who are really, and the more they see the truck now, they know, I mean, all our trucks are lettered, so every time we're up there, they're out. They're in my face, they're in my guy's face. When are you guys gonna fix this? When are you gonna make it right? When are you gonna do this? When are you gonna do that? I'm just giving you guys a heads up.
Dead ends too.
We would have lost the money we'd have had it.
Yeah.
I mean, Eisenhower was the first one that I actually physically saw. I mean,
Right.
we dug that up. Sam was actually up on site, because I was a little bit nervous about that whole ordeal. And
I mean, here's a prime example. No matter what's gonna happen, we put a brand new water system in, put a curb cock in, and connected these existing lines. These people are still gonna have this problem.
They're gonna have the same problem.
the lines are gonna need replaced. End of story. They're gonna have to be. I'm telling you right now, that line going into that house, he has like no pressure. You know, he put a valve on, it builds
But
30
from
pounds
the
of
curb
pressure.
cock in is their responsibility. Whether they like to admit that or not, that's the bad part about this whole thing, okay?
Every time I tell, just like that guy up there today, Mr. Laird, I think his name was, I mean, he basically said, it's because of your water that my line's dirty. I'm just giving you guys a heads up, Because
Understand.
I work for you, somebody's gonna take legal action, that's why I'm bringing it up, so your solicitor can.
Well, it's not for lack of trying. We sure as hell have tried.
I mean, Duncan and Burrow's done it
But-
many a times, they've turned around and said, hey, listen, your line's clogged up between the curb box and into your house. You need to replace it. No, yeah, they got upset, but they hired somebody and they had them replaced. I mean, and the whole thing's, if you do it right, you don't need to dig it up. I mean, they got devices out there that you can pull a new line through.
I honestly gotta tell you, most of the lines that I've seen up there, you're not gonna pull,
You ain't gonna happen?
you're not gonna pull that. Not now.
Okay.
They're not, you're not gonna be able to pull.
You're not
through
gonna
that.
get a snake in through them.
No.
Well, then they're gonna have to dig it up then.
I mean, I've pulled lines like that, but as clogged as that line is, I doubt very much you're gonna pull that.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was getting at, it's pretty clogged then. But I mean, lines do clog up, I mean, copper, after so many years, they're either,
I've seen plastic lines clog up. They
Oh, yeah.
often clog up.
Yep.
All I'm getting at is people are saying that, and you guys are who's to blame.
okay,
You know,
thanks for the information there, I appreciate that, sorry about you getting all the hot seat about it.
oh, I mean, it's not that I mind the calls, it's, I mean, after a while they get old, and, I mean, I kind of turn a deaf ear, I hate to do that, because I really do care about people, but, you know.
But the valve has been replaced.
The valve's been replaced. Now, there is a small chance, when this guy digs the line up into the house, I did have to rod the line out, going out to the street, because when we put the new valve on, no, there's no water.
Understand, yeah.
So, I did a live tap straight through,
Mm-hmm.
and that line was wide open. I mean, it shot water 20 feet into the house.
Yep.
But, you know, I don't know. I'm still thinking it's the line definitely going into the house that's clogged.
Oh, I agree, and there's more than just one up there, I'm sure of that, you know, I mean, like I said, we all know that it's 1950s era, and, you know, even your piping in your houses from back in that time.
And you guys all got the letter or the email from Mr. Buckwalter? The guy that sent the picture of the Yingling logger? You didn't get that email? I thought Karen forwarded it to all you guys. Harvest, sorry, yeah, Harvest.
Yeah,
It's in there,
Okay.
yeah,
it's in there.
Because he's called a couple times.
right on top.
Last page.
Mhm.
So that's all I got about Sunshine Hill. I mean, other than that, we still cleaned the meters, but, I mean, we did 24 Eisenhower's meter, but it didn't do any good. We pulled the whole meter off, still no water coming in.
Did you show that gentleman the line?
I couldn't show the gentleman the line. This guy that owns the house now, he wasn't there when the work was done. We did the work back when the bank hired a plumber to figure out what was wrong. And they called us, we went up to shut the water off, and the valve spun around the ring, and I'm like, curb valves are not supposed to do that.
Right.
So I said, we got a problem, that's when I got your guys' permission, we dug it up, and we put the new curb valve in. That's when I told the plumber who was coming back, because it wasn't my job to redo the line into the house. I was told to stop at the curb.
Yep.
So I stopped at the curb, I gave him the fittings off the curb valve for him to do it, and I said, you really should replace that line into the house, and that's when he said, the bank said, if there is a trickle of water in there, that's all they care about, there's water there, sell the house. But the new owner's not happy.
Well, if we do have luck and get money to put something in, we're still gonna have to have some come to Jesus meetings with the people about replacing your lines. That's the bottom line.
I mean, your talk with Mr. Hofer must have helped. I mean, he's not as nasty as he used to be, but he still calls and he still complains.
I mean, some of those houses up in there, if it's the original piping, which I really probably doubt it, it's probably should, if it ain't, it needs replaced.
Oh, it's 1950s.
Yeah, within the house, I mean,
50s.
Well, I've changed a couple of water meters, or cleaned a couple of water meters up there that have galvanized pipes stuck through the wall.
yeah. And I wouldn't wanna guess what they look like inside. They're probably worse yet.
Oh, I know, I got copper.
Should the authority be sending a letter now to all of the residents up there, just saying, is there anything we can report with them on Gum Cannon and the grant?
Well, why don't you wait, we're gonna have a little meeting after this meeting.
Okay. Just to let them know, or just to let them know that we know there's a problem and, you know, I don't
We
know.
kinda had that meeting, we even had a public meeting.
Well, we did, and
Words of that.
only a
So, I
few
mean,
people
we're out
showed
there
up.
re-rolling everything around again, and everybody was, they know there's a problem, they're upset about it, but they did understand.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes, I understand there is frustrations to it too, but, anything else for you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What do you guys wanna do about the big pumps? The pumps, right now, we were down, phone called us the other day about pulling the number 2 at the McGuire's, or Lower Duncannon pumping station at McGuire's. Karen's filled out all the paperwork from OPSCO. The problem that we've been having is, before the pumps we were sending them out to Heim, they were rewiring them.
Yes, I remember
They weren't
that.
doing anything with the pump
The
pump
pump
itself.
itself just kept wearing and the motor got rebuilt and that was it.
All the pumps right now, I can guarantee you, if they're like the ones we're sending, I mean, basically, they need replaced. So, we don't have a spare pump right now for Lower Duncannon. The board's gotta make a decision. There's two pumps that we could get. Right now, the pump that's in there has to be, the one that was designed for the station is an explosion-proof pump. If you want that pump, I sent Karen a price on that pump. OPSCO is saying, the way this pump is, they think it's kind of ridiculous. I took pictures of the wet well, the whole 9 yards, and they say it's kind of ridiculous to have an explosion-proof pump. You're paying thousands of dollars more for that pump just because it's explosion-proof. But right now, you guys gotta make a decision, because right now, there is no spare. Both of the pumps that are in there have been rewired, but not replaced for, I don't know how long.
First question. Can we get a compatible pump that's non-explosion proof?
No, the pump's pretty much the same.
Right.
It's the way it's wired.
just
and
the motor.
The motor.
Just the motor.
So you're not gonna get the pump will do the same job.
Right.
It's just not gonna be an explosion-proof pump. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well, it's not our call to make, really, that's an engineering call, it has to do with DEP.
That's why I figured he had questions. I wanted, what's your opinion?
This is for a sewage,
Watertight and explosion proof. That's,
well, this is for a sewage application, correct?
yes.
It has to be explosion proof. There's no question.
Okay, so there you go. So do you want me to take Karen,
That's
have
required.
Karen get that pump ordered?
Okay.
Because like I said, right now, we don't have
Yes.
a spare for that.
Yes,
We need one.
we need one, and I agree with that.
And that's, you guys gotta understand, is these pumps, as we pull these in and out, all these pumps are gonna need replaced.
Understand, yes. Can you, as you go through these pump-wise, can you get us a price on them?
You guys can buy them direct.
Okay,
I set you up with my OPSCO account.
okay,
You guys have your own account, but you get my buying power to be able to just purchase the pump so you don't have to pay tax,
okay,
which I don't mind.
right, understand, I agree with that.
And the other thing, just to clarify, you guys did give me permission, because I've been doing it. These pumps that are all down on chains, we're switching it all over to stainless steel cable. Every time we pull a pump, we're switching it to
Yes.
stainless steel cable.
It's galvanized now, yeah.
No, it's changed.
Chains,
Yeah.
okay, chains, well, they ain't
You
gonna
gotta
do
hoist it.
Well, they
you gotta
were
chain it.
galvanized, now they're just
yeah, okay,
little bits of rust.
that's not a problem either.
Because some of the hours you guys are seeing for these pumps, just understand that we've had a couple of them pull off the chains, and then we gotta try to fish them out, and that's,
Understand. Everybody in agreement to get a
Absolutely.
pump ordered?
You did.
All right,
Susan, if Karen has any questions, she should have those numbers, so if she has any questions, tell her to call me. I'll be traveling tomorrow, so.
Okay, Susan?
An explosion-proof pump.
Motor.
Well, it's a pumping motor. It
Yeah.
Yeah, pumping motor, yeah.
The pumps are closed.
Is it just a grinder pump?
It's a big grinder pump.
He's forwarded the information to her. She should have now,
Yeah.
okay?
The other thing to let you guys know, I've been working with Randy Rohr up there with his grease pit. We're also gonna do the grease trap inspections
I
and
see
everything
that
next
there,
week too. He had a lot of infiltration coming into that. I bought and put a Sentry Advisor on his pump station and showed him that he was pumping a couple thousand gallons of water at night between the hours of 2 and 8 o'clock when there's nobody there.
Yeah.
So he took action. He did actually replace a lot of the pieces in the grease interceptor. So they're not taking on a lot of surface water anymore. So you had asked me before sometimes about some of those Sentry Advisors. They really aren't that expensive. And they do work really nice because it data logs every minute the pump kicks on, when it shuts off, how many gallons, and it is a rough estimate. They base it on pump.
I think you had a
counts per
price of
minute.
$700 and some odd dollars.
Yeah.
So if we put like an $800 number in,
You're good. And then the thing is, you can move them.
yeah.
Because I told Randy, I'm not giving it to you. I mean, I'm putting it on there now.
Right.
So I printed out a report and said, here it is. You know, here's your report. You're wondering why your pumps are failing. That with all the hypodermic needles and everything else that you pull out of there all the time.
Where's this?
The dugout.
Thank you.
The other thing I want to talk to the township about too is, what are the chances of having some more fittings from LB Water available for the?
What would you like?
Well, here's the problem. We had the leak down at the dugout in the pressurized main. You guys all remember that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we looked at the plans, and that was supposed to be an 1 1/4 line. Or sorry, it was supposed to be a 2-inch line. And I was a little bit nervous about it because I've seen a lot of stuff up there that's not what the plans say it is.
Yes.
The problem we had there was a check valve was installed
Yes.
upside down.
I remember you talking about, yes.
Okay, and it blew the end of the
Yep.
check valve out. It was a 1.5 inch line. So we did it at night. We shut, Roar Bus, we gave them a heads up. We shut Roar Bus, we shut Sheets, we shut Dollar General, we shut all this stuff down. Cut that line, and if I wouldn't have been prepared, because I went and bought 1 inch, 1 1/4 inch, 1.5 inch, and 2 inch. But they were like $3,000 to buy all those parts. Those fittings are ridiculous.
Why don't you put a list together for us that we can contact LB Water? And we had talked about that with previous operations in here, and we probably did have some of that stuff, but.
There's a couple of parts that Sam has in the office,
Yeah,
but
but not much anymore. It's probably, some of
It's
it's,
depleted.
huh?
It's depleted.
It's depleted. But yes, give us a list, and we'll see if we can't either buy it all at one time or work our way through it with them.
the big thing is you guys can buy it without paying tax.
Correct.
I've got to pay tax on it.
That's fine. So
So-
give us a list and prioritize it if you can, what you think's more important, and we'll work our way through it. Maybe do it all at one time. After we get it priced out, we'll see what we can do, okay? But I agree, we need to have emergency parts. Yeah.
There was couplings and stuff down at the treatment plant as well.
I haven't been able to find it. You guys get it over there?
What's that?
Couplings, the high pressure couplings. I looked down there the other week when I was down and I didn't see any of them.
Whatever, we didn't move any of that, whatever's there.
Maybe Sam, when we're together next week, we'll try to find them. Because the only ones I ever saw were the ones in your office. Okay?
All right, yeah, give us a list and see what we got. And we'll see what we can do about that, okay?
Give them a heads up on the grinder pump.
Yeah. He's gonna beat me up next week, I can tell. My company's been extremely swamped with our controls work. And we have kept up with all the service calls on the grinder pumps, but I'm giving you guys a heads up that there's about 15 to 17 pumps right now that need rebuilt. and we're coming into basically our shutdown November. We kind of shut down and catch up on loose ends, and we don't take on any new work till we get through that. You're gonna have a pretty huge bill this month for pump rebuilds, just to give you a heads up.
Like how many pumps do we have?
There's I think there's 15 to 17 sitting in my shop right now that need torn down and rebuilt. Now, the other thing is we're getting into a lot of these pumps, when we pull them out, the pits are getting filled with grease, like just grease upon grease upon grease. I've done some research. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but there's a chemical treatment now that you can put in these tanks. It's actually supposed to be like some sort of a microbial that eat the grease. They take the grease and it keeps the grease suspended.
Didn't we talk about that years ago, Sam? For down at the dead end?
Well, they have a granular that you can put in the tank that will eat the grease that's in there or do whatever to it, and then you're supposed to follow it up with a liquid treatment. We have the same problem because we handle these E1s for a ton of developments, and not just you guys. And we've tried it, and it does work. We put the granulars in, we wait a month, we come back, the grease is pretty much gone. I don't know what happens to it. It's gone, and then we dump a quart of the liquid in the top.
They deal with it.
Goes to the treatment
They
plant.
deal with it. That's what happens to them. They deal with it.
There's no grease removal at
said
the
the
plant, so
magic
we
word.
already have
You said the
problems.
magic word, it keeps it in.
It does, it's what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
But the tanks at Perdix are getting really, really bad. I mean, we pulled one out the other day, and I forget the exact address, pardon me, I was working a little bit before I came down here. When we pulled the pump out, it took 3 of us, 2 of us plus the homeowner, to get it out of the tank, and there was a perfect mold of an upside down E1 when we pulled it out.
Educate the homeowners to quit putting it in, or they'll be billed for cleaning it out. Oops, I slipped on it.
Yeah.
That is the way it should be.
Yes, and
That
we
is
have
the
done
way
that
that it
in
should be.
newsletters. We've told them what not to,
If it's grease,
nothing.
don't-
My
don't
suggestion
pay the
for
bill.
an instance like that, my suggestion would be, as soon as you see that,
Sorry.
you call Walters or a pumping
We did pump out.
and pump it out. Because that's what we did with,
You'll be billed.
I can't think of the
The
man's,
apartment.
yes,
Lou. Or,
I can't think of what his name is.
Lou Beamer?
Beamer,
Yeah.
Beamer. That's what we did with him, and his pump was the exact same way, but with the exception that that was plugged all the way up to the main.
Yeah.
So you gotta get that stuff out of there.
Yeah.
All right?
We do, that one there that was that bad, we did call, see, I didn't know you guys for the longest time were in the contract with, it's not even Walters anymore, it's Klein. I actually called Associated, because we have a working relationship with them. I called them and had them pump it out.
Well, I don't care who you call, but you
It
get
needs
something
done.
like that,
Yeah.
you see it that needs to be done, you need to pump it out, and then we need to contact a property owner and
Pass the bill to them.
and either eat it or pass the bill to them, one or the other.
Well, we put that in the notes when we send the invoice, because you actually called and questioned, was it you or Karen called me the other day to question the one?
I sent, yeah, about whether it should be, yeah.
Don't send it to us.
I can send you the bill, can't
No, I mean the grease, we don't want the grease.
That's what I'm saying, you know, the emulsifiers,
Okay.
should put the emulsifiers in it. 'cause
before we
then
go
the
any further,
municipal
do
thing needs
you
to
have
be-
anything for the engineer? Okay, you're good to go, Randy.
Thanks.
That's
About
what I
time.
want to do. All right,
I like you too, see.
I like the idea of putting the stuff in, the same atmosphere. It's probably really not our situation because we consider the grease in that situation
Their problem.
their problem. And after the first offense, it becomes their problem 100% then.
That's what I'm getting at.
And if it's something that they would be interested in, you can recommend it. They can put it down to save them a lot of trouble and headaches, but we're not gonna,
The thing about it is, in general, the people in verdicts, they're not gonna do anything. They're not gonna pay for anything, they're not gonna do anything. We actually had a customer the other day that said the alarm went off, He waited 3.5 weeks to call us. When we got there, I'm telling you, it's my concern for the people that own their grinders now. Dude, it comes right up the vent pipe and it just rolls right down the road.
I didn't hear that.
Oh.
Yes.
So,
What causes that buildup? Is that they dumping the grease down?
It's either, a lot of it is either grease or it's laundry detergents. You see
Yeah.
that, it puts a cake in there.
Any kind of floatable material that gets into that wet well comes to the
Stay.
top of the wet well, the liquid surface, and it
It's
begins to
safe.
build up, builds a layer from the top down. The pump is at the bottom, it's pumping the liquid out from under it.
I mean,
So all
people
the
don't
material just
realize
gets
just
trapped in
how,
there.
how much greasy stuff they do and it accumulates, okay? And it being a gravity flow system, it has a tendency to build a slippery film and it just slides on down through, and after a while we'll catch up with it too, on, you know. But these grinder pumps are more susceptible to it because it goes down in there, it might be washed down in there with hot water, and then once it's down in there, it gets cold and it coagulates, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, you know. It's like,
30 years ago, I dug up ironberg for people that was solid soap. You know, if the soap in the, coming out of the septic system was, if 4-inch ironberg
Yep.
was solid with soap.
yep,
Well, see,
so,
they use too much laundry detergent, they can save money on laundry detergent too. There's people
So
say you
Jody,
put a cupful in there.
you know
now,
what you
they're-
gotta do,
they're
you
selling
gotta clean the wet
laundry
well
detergent.
out, put a new pump in it, and we document it after the first one, it's their headache.
my guys are really good at taking pictures.
And
Just-
take pictures and, you know, it's the best you can do, you know?
Do you want me to start attaching them to the invoices, or you just want me to keep them?
Attach it to the invoice.
I attach it.
I like that,
Mhm.
yep. That way we got something to fall back on if there's any issues,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
But I would suggest if you pull one and you see grease in it, a significant amount of grease in it, then you call and have it pumped out.
That one there, we put a pump in that night, because they called in the evening. We put a pump in just to get them by, and then had Associated come out and pump the next day. So, other than that, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
Can I go?
Penn, yeah,
Need us for anything?
oh, I thought you wanted a piece of me again, I know, we're
No,
gonna go,
we'll take a signed copy of that contract. Then we'll get out of your way.
All right, there's no Penn Township Supervisor's report. Dennis, you're up.
Okay, first thing I have is,
Don't make it too many. Just make sure they're thorough.
they'll be quick. From last month,
I don't know what the difference
I
is
know there's
between.
a question
This just says a transmittal letter. That's
about the tax
All right,
upset
thank
sales.
Thanks a lot.
And whether municipal liens are collected. They actually do add those to the upset price as long as they get the reports back from the authority. And Karen's been good about doing that. They send the authority a list, and then, if we provide the information, they collect for us. The problem is, in the last upset sale, and I don't think any of the properties that were sewer customers were sold, but at least we know there's some comfort there.
There's some hope there. I appreciate that information because that information came from the township solicitor that would not be included.
Yes,
So
that's what I remember.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, I contacted the tax claim bureau directly about it, just to make sure.
Thank you.
The other thing that came up, we had a list last month, you recall, the installment payment agreements under the old system when you finance the tapping fees, and we thought it looked awful short. I double checked with Karen, and she says that's the list.
Yeah.
There have been a number of people that paid.
That's correct.
Yep, a couple people have paid them off in full, so it's just shorter, which is a good thing. It's not a mistake.
Got a question though for that.
Sure.
That money that was paid in there, did that go in for the general fund or did that
No,
go
no,
into the
no,
capital?
When, That goes into capital reserve.
Okay,
That's
alright.
where I've been putting it.
That's
But-
where it goes, and that's
But we're
why-
not having that
and that's
much.
why I'm asking.
You know, in the beginning, we were getting a lot of it. Now
Mhm.
there's only however many people. I'll multiply that by $30 a month times 12, and that's what I'll put in the budget.
Well, and you.
And some of them aren't paying.
They're not paying, so, I mean, you
Yeah.
got a couple that are a couple years in arrears.
Wanted to give you an update on the Norfolk Southern Perry County beer issue. I spoke to Joe, I can't think of his name. Philippone. He said that this coming weekend will be road hogs last weekend in the property, so they're vacating. He is just having, some financial difficulty getting the funds together to do this project. He intends to do it. He said he's trying to sell a couple of trucks that he doesn't need. And I asked him, could you give me some sense of a timetable? And he said he certainly hopes that he'll have it done by the end of the year. And he asked if the authority would try to work with him. He just said it's a struggle.
I mean, I'm sure there's not a lot of water being drawn off there, especially after the road opens up, but still, I don't have a problem. I mean, I know we got a deadline there, but what's the wish of the board?
What's he thinking, end of the year?
Yeah, he thinks before the end of the year. I mean, I can keep, just keep periodically contacting him and make sure.
Tell him it would be very much appreciated if he would communicate with the board directly. He might find that our understanding could be a lot better. I mean, because they left here with the intention they were gonna give us water meter readings and everything else, and nothing's been out of it. Now this is all you hear.
Changed everything.
So it's nothing that, we can't work with somebody that don't want to be worked with. I mean, that's something that needs to be explained, okay? We're not here to, we're here to get the hookup, but we're not here to.
No, but it would be nice to have something a little more firm about it.
Yes.
Commitment. Do you want me to suggest that he maybe come into a meeting? Because there's only 2 left until the end of the year now.
I mean, it would be nice to know his full intentions, if it's definitely gonna be possible or not possible, I mean, if he wishes to communicate that with you, fine, so be it, but it's not.
We haven't issued any requirement, a written requirement by when he has to hook up.
Oh, but he probably got a connection notice, and I think we gave him the typical, and we probably gave him the 6 month, and then or is it 60 days, whatever
60 days.
Whatever we routinely gave people. And then we ran into the confusion with
180.
180, 6 months, and then we ran into the issues with Norfolk Southern owning the land, and you remember all that.
Yeah.
That seems to have settled out to Norfolk saying, we're not paying for it. You're the one that needs it, you gotta do it, you gotta pay for it. So I'll communicate with him again, maybe suggest that he try to come in.
Okay.
Next month, definitely do something.
That sounds like a waste of his time, though, if he could just give you a kind of a framework.
Yeah, I mean, if he communicates with you well, tell him he don't need to come in, but we need some guidelines here, we're willing to work with him. I mean, I'm sure that that's still not the issue,
It needs to get
done, okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Guess moving from there to, I see on the Haldeman button is on the agenda under me. I haven't heard from the guy, and I understand we're gonna bill him for.
We billed him, and I billed him 120 last month. He paid 120. I billed him 120 just a couple days ago. So
And this is for.
This is for Haldeman Landscaping because there's no button. He just hasn't installed it. So we have no idea how much water he's using, and so Dennis sent him a letter and said he had to do it, or we were going to start charging him twice, for 2 EDUs. So I guess we put it up in there just to, we put it under Dennis's to see if you wanted to take any further action, or we're just gonna let it go till he gets tired of paying 120.
It seems like it would be a little easier to move the button and, well, I know.
A whole lot cheaper.
Yeah, a lot cheaper, let's put it that way.
That's right.
All right.
Anything else?
Yeah, the delinquents, it's not really a delinquent issue at this time, but the 1109 Smith septic tank abandonment. I'm trying to get a hold of the proper people to get that fixed. As somebody reported to me, it was on an auction sale list for last month with this Williams & Williams company. I got their information, sent them a fax before the auction that they needed to understand that they better disclose to the bidders that somebody's gonna have to deal with taking care of the septic tank issue when they acquire the property.
And they did put that on their they did put that on the website.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah, Karen signed up to be a bidder, so, or,
Okay.
signed up so that she could look at the bids, and she noticed that was on there.
The septic tank issue was on there? How
Yes.
about that? Well, what I don't know is what happened with the bidding. I think it was like a 3-day auction.
And
in
she
the end
can't
of
get back
September.
on.
Okay, I tried to find out today, and I'll find out. There's no deed recorded, so I know, at least if it was sold, there isn't a completed sale and a deed recorded, but we're doing the best we can with it. The PNC Bank bought it in, and then they just put it with this auction company to unload it. And maybe it didn't sell. I mean, they probably had a minimum on it.
She looked at, no, the minimum was like 1,000 or 5,000.
Oh,
It was,
was that
yeah, it
low?
was like 5,000, I think, was the,
Well, that's the one. They probably said
Or
that
that was
the
a-
low bid has to be, a minimum bid has to be at least
Yeah.
5,000, but they still may have had a reserve. I'll keep on it.
Okay.
The Daimler, I didn't get an agreement back in writing to consummate the verbal deal that I thought we had from the court session. So I asked for a hearing to be scheduled, and that's set for the 20th of this month. So something will break loose in the next couple of weeks on that, or we'll have a hearing and let the judge decide how he feels they need to deal with this huge delinquency.
Hey Dennis, before you get off of that, I said I could maybe go, I may have to back out on that.
Okay.
Depends on how well my daughter's condo at Carolina Beach made out.
Oh, okay.
So, because we were gonna
All right.
go down there after the fact that I told you about that, so I thought I'd wait till tonight to tell you.
All right.
If we don't go, I'll still be able to go, but
Okay.
I'm not sure now. So.
If Jim can't make it, can you do it, do you think, Elmer?
Yeah, I guess I can. What's the date of it?
The 20th.
I'll let you know, folks.
All right, 20th.
I brought up should I use the numbers or the names or no?
you can use the name.
Yeah, we were using names.
The Thompson, I brought the sheriff's cell papers up with me this evening, so Karen will run those up to the courthouse, get that one scheduled. The McPherson property, I'm working on getting that paid. The bank had agreed to pay it, and then I don't know what happened, but the lady that was corresponding with me apparently left the bank, and when I tried to communicate again, I got transferred around for a while and finally got with somebody now that seems serious about handling it. Now that property is on the sheriff's sale list for this month in Perry County. I think it's the 22nd or the 27th, whatever that Friday is.
Oh, so this one's not gonna be for,
No, that one will be at the next sale.
okay.
But McPherson will be on, and I'm hoping we'll even get paid by McPherson before the sale. I'm working on that. I did go over the remaining delinquent list with Karen, and a number of people I wrote to as a prelude to moving forward with a sheriff's sale. But there were a couple people that I hadn't communicated with threatening a sale for a considerable period of time. And I wanted to make sure we preserve our rights, particularly to recover council fees. So there will be some more activity on the sale list coming up, probably, unless these people actually come up with some money and pay. And I will write to MW2 again, because there's still some money owed there.
Yes, he has not paid any of his monthly bills
Or his escrow.
or his escrow.
Yeah, that's in the red.
Yep. Yeah, you got a nice letter to read to him.
Yeah, it'll be, it's a long, yeah, McPherson is a big one, that's $3,500, it'd be nice when you get knocked off. Roush, as you know, is in bankruptcy now, so he'll be filing a plan, and then he did file a proposed plan, but it'll have to be subject to a hearing before it's approved, and he can start making payments.
Yeah, see, we have two of them just over the threshold, just over 850.
Yeah, and I think those are the two I just wrote to. I just wrote
And that one.
to Westman again, because it had been a couple of years at least.
That'd be nice to have.
Who else? Al, again.
Is that going back on the list?
It will be. I told him that, you know, when he paid the last lien, I told him we'd be coming at him again, and here I am, so.
Yep, good.
All
You
right.
got it.
All right.
How are the payments coming on 1160? Are they steady?
She just gave $70,
Okay.
which isn't cutting it. But she just made it about 2 days ago.
I'm looking at 1005 there too. What's it said, making payments of $60? That's monthly payment.
Well, I guess he was under a payment plan where he was supposed to pay 60 plus whatever.
I know, that doesn't-
And he's only paying the
Hey, I
60.
don't remember that.
So it's not cutting back his delinquency.
Would
When
you
she
say
sends him a
1005?
payment letter, you know, you pay 60 and then,
Well, then you're not going, if she keeps paying, or this individual keeps paying $60, you're never going to touch that.
no, his balance will always just stay the same.
That's interesting.
I think she's, nope,
Well,
she
Make it for
didn't.
$65, at least you get it
Yeah.
down $5.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Question her on that. Tell her to get back with us on that. We have a question on that.
Yeah, the same way with that 1160, because if there's a payment agreement and we're only getting $70, is it just monthly fee plus $10?
That's all she's paying. She hasn't been paying on the payment agreement.
Perhaps there needs to be a letter written there.
Yes. She hasn't been paying on it.
I'll check with her. You know, maybe we ought to deal with the bank in New York Mellon. That's on the executive secretary's report.
Yes.
While we're dealing with delinquents. Apparently, somebody's moved in there under an agreement with the bank, and you waive penalties on the condition that they have an agreement, a payment agreement, and keep with it. Now apparently they're already in default.
Right.
It's not exactly
Good faith in their part.
what we had in mind.
No.
You want me to write and revoke the waiver of penalties, or at least threaten to?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Encourage them to come to a meeting.
Her name is Annette Lesher.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, that's on there.
That's on the report, okay. I'm not sure it was. Yeah. I think that's all I have.
Anything else for the solicitor?
Yeah, but can I digress for a second backwards, just to ask a question? Did we receive any correspondence from the township about that Joyce Hand that's supposed to
No.
be moving into Ward's property?
If it's not in the folder, no.
It is not in the folder.
So we would not have gotten anything.
Okay, according to the August 31st supervisor's minutes, correspondence was supposed to be forwarded to the municipal authority regarding Joyce Hand and her business endeavor on Mike Ward's property. I think that might be useful to us. So if that's not been done, maybe we could encourage the township secretary to
All right,
send
I'll
us a
have Karen
copy.
ask her for it.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Dennis. Treasurer's report, we pretty much took care of the delinquent accounts already.
Yes, so the monthly bills, there is one that Dennis has asked for that's not on here. I did not have the time to do it after supper. He needs a $750 check, so I'll write that
That's for
out,
sure.
and I just need you guys to approve it.
Who's it to?
Sheriff.
Sure.
Yeah, it's gonna go to the it's for, this Mr. Thompson, Charles Thompson, that's going up for the next sheriff's sale, so. In fact, what I might do, bring it to the Monday meeting, because you said it doesn't need to be done right away.
Right.
All right, so if there's a JOAC meeting Monday,
Yes.
I could bring it and somebody could sign it.
Okay.
Shall we include that in tonight's?
Well, you're gonna see it on next month's report. Okay. In fact, they could even approve it at the JOAC meeting.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we pay the monthly bills totaling $51,095.06, and also include a check for the Perry County Sheriff for a total of $750 for a grand total of $51,845.06.
I had one question on the bills before I second that.
Okay.
On phone, the
Mhm.
operator retainer services,
Mm-hmm.
is that just their yearly figure, the $4,357?
Yeah, if you look on their bills, or on their, the
Proposal.
check thing. No, you look in the check
Oh, okay.
thing. The first thing that you'll see at the bottom of the check stub the first thing you'll see on his bill is his bill for operator. Then he starts putting some other things. So that is more than the retainer. There's two checks for him. One is for
Right.
that, and then one's for additional services. And you'll see that I have it all marked up, like his copy where I break down Cove and King Core and Duncannon.
Oh, okay, and I'm confused. I understand the additional services, that's above and beyond what the contract is. But for that $4,357, what?
I don't know, you'll have to take a look at his bill.
Is that what it is
So
every month?
that's,
No, it changes every month.
so that technically is also additional services. Because I'm going by what their agreement is here for next year. And they gave us the $4,980 is their retainer fee. Now this says $4,357, which is $623 less than their new amount. But on that contract, that $4,980 was broken down to a monthly amount of what I gave you, $415 or $451. So I'm questioning this $4,357.
I don't know that I ever saw their contract. And I don't know that I've ever, so the first month they came in, they gave us a bill. And you'll see how it's itemized. The only thing you can do is look at his bill and see how he itemizes it.
Okay,
It's on the bottom of the check, wherever the check is.
yeah, that's right here. But I'm confused here. If that's their monthly fee to us, $4,357.
No, it is not.
So what's their monthly fee and where does that show up? just really confused.
Their monthly fee to us is $3,698. That's been on every single bill since they started.
Okay.
What makes it is all the testing. See, a lot of this, instead of being sent to Microbac, the water testing he gets done on his own, so we're not getting the Microbac bills
Okay.
anymore. The Microbac bills that we get now are only for sewer, not for water.
Okay, so actually, the retainer services would only be $3,698, not, so then the difference between
Probably
that and the
recapture
work.
of what.
Is always their
out-of-pocket costs.
testing.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
I
so
guess
it's
I should
retainer
say
and
return,
testing.
I should say retainer and testing
Okay,
from now
that-
on the bill, on this list.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do that. I just need to make this say retainer and testing, just like you did. Because this is all water samples.
All right, so the monthly, their monthly fee, their
Mhm.
monthly retainer is $3,698.
Yes.
Sorry, but I'm just,
Mhm.
something's not adding up in my head here.
Okay.
So if we pay that for 12 months, we're paying them $44,376 a year. Okay, that's not what I read on that contract tonight.
Yeah, but that contract is, it's a different contract. This is the proposal for the pump
The wet wells.
station.
They don't do the wet wells or nothing.
Okay, okay.
Totally different.
That was a $4,000 a year pump.
Wait a minute, we're getting a heck of a deal here. Sorry?
No.
Thank you.
No.
All right.
Yeah, that's for work that they haven't
Makes
been
me feel
doing,
better.
right?
Okay.
That's a retainer.
Now,
for new-
we
a new
will
project.
we will be getting a new cost analysis from them for the beginning of the year here pretty
Right.
shortly.
Yeah.
And that, okay.
And that's gonna be something totally separate. This is just to take care of the wet wells, because
Okay.
it was one of them things, one minute he was doing it, Jody was doing it,
Right.
and everything else.
Back and
Now,
forth.
everything goes underneath one person.
Okay.
This is an addendum to his
To the
existing
other
contract.
contract.
Okay?
Okay.
It's an addition to it,
So,
okay?
yeah, in effect, you'd add the $400 and some onto the $3,800 or
Right.
something, and that's their
Okay.
combined
Okay,
everything.
thank you. Sorry.
4,500 each month.
Okay,
it'll
so
be.
I will second your motion.
Regularly moved and seconded to pay the bills.
Oh, Lord.
All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pay the bills. All right.
For the financial report, we were talking about tap fees earlier. This year, we've only gotten $7,933 in because of, it just, you know,
Right. Well, we
people
just
paid
picked
up.
a little more.
And some of that was a tap fee that was paid by, well, a couple people paid up pretty good, so you're not gonna get much money anymore from tap fees.
No.
I'll make a motion that we accept the September financial report subject to audit.
Second.
And regularly moved and seconded. Accept the financial report, subject to audit. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Executive Secretary's
Well, I
report.
have one more thing just to bring up, and that's very short. Last month, Cece said about the audit, the auditor is not doing for the township. So I called the auditor or sent him an email and said, say it's not so. And it turns out that they are not doing municipalities anymore because the municipalities have to have theirs in by a certain deadline, which is right during tax season. But it's not going to affect us because we don't have a deadline. And if you think back years ago,
I remember.
when Smith, Elliott, and Kearns were doing this, they had given us a cheaper rate because they could wait till afterwards. So he sent in his email that he was going to get back to us. I've asked him again for a quote for 3 years, so we should be okay.
Oh, good. Okay. Executive Secretary's report. I think we've kind of covered that with Dennis.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do have one other thing on that, and that was Karen and I reading residential water meters. That was supposed to take place on September the 30th, and I called her that morning as a reminder, and she said, well, I already did them. What? She had no recollection of our conversation. And I sort of refreshed her memory, and then Yeah, told me that sort of scared her because she couldn't remember that.
Oh, well,
So-
she's still worried about that she's worried about what's happening to her mind.
Oh, God love her. So we said, no big deal, don't worry about it. You know, she actually did us a favor. We didn't have to plod around in the rain. So we have agreed that we get a sunny day. We're going to make arrangements and we're just going to go walk around and pretend we're doing it and she can show me. So it didn't actually happen, but it will.
Okay. JOAC meeting, October 10th,
I will not be here.
here.
Nor I.
Did you agree with that?
Yes.
You don't know
Boy, I didn't.
that. Yeah, I
I
am.
like surprises.
Ingoing, outgoing correspondence. Okay. For articles, old business, Smith property, we addressed that, kinda.
Yeah.
Okay, Perry County Beer, we addressed that. Penn letter.
Yep. Remember PennVest sent this letter that said that they don't see that we're gonna be able to pay our bills,
Yeah.
our loan, and they want an answer on how we are going to correct our adverse condition, and they need it by November 2nd.
Oh,
We put all of our money into the lottery and we're gonna win the lottery.
Yeah, there you got it.
That was what she had sent in.
We're gonna take appropriate financial action.
Well, and I did break them up, and I
And
think
tell them
I put
anything
it,
above that,
Yeah,
they
we
don't
have
need
it.
to know.
just as,
Was this sent, right?
I sent that, just to let them know that,
Okay. Well,
I just sent them a little response, and I said that we were thinking of raising rates, but nothing has definitely been done yet, and I would get back to them. That was just to keep them at bay for a while.
all right.
All right.
So you responded by the deadline.
With that being said, I'm gonna say that being open-minded here, as much as I hate to say it, but I think we need a rate increase of $10. Now, that's gonna be my suggestion, and the board, we need to make a discussion about this, and I think we need to take action on this come November, so we can get this out and effective for January 1st. Okay?
Plus figure that with our budget.
Okay? Now, that's my proposal. Not that I'm happy about it, but I see no way for us to meet our financial obligations, and that's not gonna give us a whole lot of extra either, but I think it's gonna let us weather things for a while. Okay?
I got one thing I can share, if you're done, Mr.
Are
Chairman.
we wanna have any,
Yeah, he knows.
I understand that, but I mean, I'm expressing that at the present moment now. That's,
well, that's good because we can blame you for the raise.
I've been openly expressing those discussions in the township meetings too. It's not,
You
it's
got
not,
big shoulders, we can blame you, that's all.
much as I hate
I'm
to,
telling you,
I mean,
guys from the, the
I,
Dover,
there's no way that we can meet our financial obligations if we don't, I don't think $5 is gonna do it. And we discussed this already earlier in the season.
We get $60,000 in that delinquency from that one customer, we might be all right.
We might be.
We got 100,000 from the total, we'd be a lot better off.
Yeah, you're right.
I got one thing here, if you're done, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
go ahead.
I had a call from Dan Green from Cedar Clog the other day. As you probably know, the survey has been done. His calculation will be as follows. Sunshine Hills came in at 35.3%.
What's that, 30?
35.3. Now, this is all, the bottom line will be not official, but I'll explain that in a minute. Duncannon's was 65.7. Now, the mark that has to be met is 51%. So by Dan's calculations, with our 35.3 and Duncannon's 65.7, he's looking at 58%, which would put us above that 51% threshold, which would be, the monies should be coming to us. Okay, now, caveat to this whole thing is, if his numbers are right with CDBG. Okay, they have to they make the final calculation. But he feels pretty confident in what he was telling me on the phone the other day, so we will know something shortly, officially. That's it.
Okay. Anything else? I'm gonna make a suggestion underneath new business. When I was up with Lou, and I'd said something afterwards in regards to the landscaping of that area up there. When I was up there, I took a look at it, and what a mess it is. It's bony, rocky. The easiest thing to do is you ain't gonna pick all the rocks up. You'll have a dump truck. But anyhow, the way it's laid out, and Jim, you go up and take a look at it, and we'll discuss it at the next meeting. If I can come up with topsoil to cover the rocks up that are up there, to crown them to what's existing in there, and rake it off with grass seed and make it fit them out. When I was up there with Lou, the bare spots that were fit, I put grass seed already on them, other than what's around the immediate holes that we excavated there, okay? You get a chance to go for a walk up there and give me your opinion for next week. If it is, I'll see if I can't get a chance. It'd be a little easier on me just to go up there with the dump truck and rake some topsoil around and everything else, and, you know, I can peel it off as it is, and if I know I'm gonna do it ahead of time, maybe I can get somebody to come up and help me. You know, I'll put 6,000 pounds of topsoil in the back of my little dump truck and get back right up everywhere, rake it right off onto it. It'd make it a lot easier, okay? Save some money for a landscaper. I mean, if anybody wants to go up and take a look at it for next meeting, listen, send me an email, give me suggestions on it, okay? It might not be the most beautiful, clean, perfect topsoil, but I can get you something that'll grow grass, okay? And it'd be fit them out. Just my suggestion. Let me know for the JOAC meeting, okay? Now's the time of the year, grass will grow pretty quick.
Yes.
It's cool, you can put a little water to it. If we had it last week, it would have been green by now, but
Best grass I ever planted was on November 11th.
so that's my suggestion. Any other things to be brought before this authority?
Motion to adjourn and go into executive session.
Second?
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded for adjournment. All those in favor, give a consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Thank you.
Ready to.
You got the door closed, Susan?
Yes.
Yeah, it's over.